Welcome, curious minds. Today we're embarking on a truly unique deep dive, one that promises to twist our perceptions of reality, logic, and perhaps even, well, the very anatomy of fish.
Definitely fish anatomy.
Get ready to have your intellectual socks knocked clean off, because Professor Alistair Finchley Smythe III is about to take us on a, let's say, journey.
Indeed. A journey is putting it mildly. We're delving into the latest, profoundly perplexing work of Professor Alistair Finchley Smythe III, Ph.D., DPhil Retire, Regius Professor Emeritus of, interspecies ontological relationality.
Right. At the Royal Collegium of Esoteric Studies.
Exactly. A true titan, or perhaps a mirage in the field of, well, everything, maybe. Perhaps nothing at all.
His new book, and you gotta love the title, The Confounding Nexus of Puppetry, Fandom, and Ichthyological Flatulence. A grand unified theory of everything, or nothing at all.
It's certainly a mouthful.
It is. And I can tell you, having spent some time with it, it's every bit as, well, multi-layered and frankly bizarre as it sounds. It's not just a book. It feels more like an intellectual labyrinth, philosophical scavenger hunt, where the treasures are consistently unexpected and often quite unbelievable.
A labyrinth, yes, definitely. And one that frequently requires you to sort of recalibrate your own internal compass.
Yeah.
Constantly prompting us to ask, is this like a groundbreaking insight, a profound philosophical question? Or is it simply a masterwork of satirical absurdity?
Right. It's a challenge to our very way of knowing things.
Exactly.
So, okay, our mission today is to try and navigate this meandering and, as the professor himself kind of hints, potentially unsubstantiated treatise. We've got excerpts from the book itself, plus some supplemental theses that delve even deeper into his more outlandish claim.
The external commentary, too.
Oh, yeah, and some fascinating external commentary from both the academic world and, wonderfully, his most devoted fandom, which is great. Yeah. So this deep dive is designed to be your shortcut, hopefully, to understanding the professor's most important nuggets of knowledge and insight, even if those nuggets are themselves confounding.
We'll be extracting what we believe are the most crucial takeaways, exploring these seemingly disparate concepts that the professor insists are intrinsically linked.
Like puppets and fish.
Puppets and fish, exactly. And attempting to connect dots that, might not even be there, honestly.
Could just be random points on a page.
Possibly. All the while, we'll be challenging our own assumptions about causality, reality, and the very nature of knowledge itself. It's an exercise in intellectual agility, isn't it? It asks us to suspend our disbelief just long enough to consider the implications, however wild.
So settle in, because this is going to be a wild intellectual ride, full of surprising facts and just enough humor, hopefully, to keep you hooked as we try to decipher what Professor Finchley Smythe III is actually trying to tell us.
If anything.
If anything. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
And try not to lose our minds in the process.
Good luck to us all.
So, at its heart, the professor's new book, The Confounding Nexus, it's about the intricate relationality between a series of seemingly disparate ontological entities.
Okay, that's a mouthful.
It is. Now, that's a very fancy way of saying he's connecting things you'd never, not in a million years, think belong in the same sentence, let alone form the basis of an entire unified theory.
Right.
When he talks about ontological entities, he's referring to basically anything that exists.
Yeah.
Right? From physical objects like a puppet, to abstract concepts like fandom, to even living beings like a pet kitten, or, as we'll soon see, some very, very strange fish.
So anything and everything.
Pretty much. He's positing that these wildly different things are not just coincidentally related, but deeply, inherently intertwined in ways we haven't yet grasped. It's fundamental, he thinks.
Precisely. His core exploration, as laid out in the book's synopsis, is how a simple hand puppet's performative semiotics...
Meaning it's gestures and symbols, right?
Yeah.
Not just words.
Exactly. How those signs it enacts through its performance can profoundly influence the collective consciousness of a fanatical following.
Wow.
So this isn't just about entertainment or storytelling. The professor argues it's about the very fabric of shared belief, how meaning is created, and how that meaning can, in turn, have tangible effects on reality.
Tangible effects.
That's what he implies. He suggests that the puppet, through its actions, doesn't just entertain, but actively shapes the minds of those who observe it, like physically shapes them almost.
And here's where it gets really interesting and, frankly, a little meta for us, right? The actual people discussing his work right now.
Yeah, this is the weird part.
He posits that this dynamic, this interplay between the puppet and its fandom, may be directly correlated with the metaphysical presence of his pet kitten, Professor Scampers.
Okay.
And it's further complicated by the very existence of podcast hosts who talk about him.
Yes, that's us, apparently.
He means us right now.
Yeah.
We're not just observers. We're explicitly part of the confounding nexus. It's almost as if he wrote us into existence, or at least into his grand theory. How do you even begin to grapple with being a variable in someone else's philosophical equation?
Indeed. The professor has always had a flair for incorporating the observer into the observed phenomenon, hasn't he? Pushing the boundaries of what constitutes an experiment or theory.
Definitely.
This time, he's made us an explicit variable in his grand equation, collapsing the distance between the subject and the analyst.
That's unsettling.
Very. And this entire philosophical tapestry, he notes, is considered against the curious backdrop of a newly discovered ichthyological anomaly. The flabberfish.
The flabberfish. We'll get to that.
Oh, we will.
Go.
So, to recap, we have hand puppets, their fervent fans, a mysterious pet kitten, us, the podcast hosts.
Don't forget us.
And some truly bizarre, multi-eyed fish, all supposedly linked in one sprawling, unified theory. It's a lot to hold in your mind simultaneously, and it deliberately challenges our conventional understanding of, discrete categories and causal relationships.
It really is. And the title itself sets such an intriguing, almost mischievous tone, doesn't it? He calls it a grand unified theory of everything or nothing at all.
That last part.
That or nothing at all phrase really throws a wrench into any immediate certainty. It's almost a disclaimer or perhaps an invitation to intellectual anarchy, daring you to find meaning where there might be none.
Yeah.
It forces you to question the very intent of the author. Is he genuinely proposing a groundbreaking theory, or is he conducting a meta-experiment on his readers, testing their capacity for belief or their willingness to search for meaning in the absurd?
It immediately introduces a fundamental ambiguity that is, central to his work. It's not just a subtle hint, it's a declaration.
Right out loud.
It invites us to question not just what he's proposing, but whether it holds any substantive meaning, or if it's primarily a profound thought experiment designed to provoke.
Just to make us think.
Could be. This approach encourages critical thinking from the outset, forcing us to engage with the material on multiple levels, constantly evaluating its validity and intent. When a theorist explicitly states that their work might amount to nothing at all, it profoundly shifts the burden of proof, or perhaps the burden of meaning-making, onto the reader, onto you listening.
Yeah, onto us.
This challenges us to consider, is the value in the conclusion or in the journey of inquiry itself, however perplexing that journey might be?
That's the core question, isn't it? Is it a genuine search for truth, or is it a meticulously crafted performance art piece designed purely to provoke thought?
Or both.
Or both.
Yeah.
And perhaps the fun of diving into his work is precisely in wrestling with that uncertainty.
I think so.
Okay, let's dive headfirst into the semiotics of felt and fervor, which is chapter 1 of the professor's book. This is where he really sets the stage for his most outlandish claims.
Buckle up.
He starts by questioning what a hand puppet is, truly. He explicitly states that it's not just a ludic, apocryphal simulacrum or an ephemeral assemblage.
Okay, the jargon.
Serious academic jargon right there. But if we break it down, ludic means playful, apocryphal suggests something of doubtful authenticity, and simulacrum is an imitation.
Right.
So he's saying it's not just a pretend dubious copy or a fleeting temporary collection of parts. He goes further, claiming it's an authentic entity, or perhaps the gossamer spectral afterimage of a potential one that, by all accounts, was never truly extant.
Wow. So like the ghost of something that never existed.
Exactly. Right out of the gate, he's elevating a simple puppet to something deeply metaphysical, perhaps even more real than what we consider real. It's almost a ghost of a thing that never existed but somehow gained substance through something.
What's fascinating here is his deliberate and audacious elevation of the puppet beyond a mere object or prop. He describes its performative, psychotropic utility not as simple entertainment.
Psychotropic, like mind-altering.
That's the suggestion. Not mere entertainment, but as a profoundly metaphysical fulcrum, an inexorable locus of multifarious projected consciousness.
Okay, unpack metaphysical fulcrum.
A central point around which reality itself can pivot. And a locus of projected consciousness means it's a place where our collective thoughts, emotions, energies converge and critically manifest.
So it's not just receiving our attention, it's like a magnet for it. And then it does something with it.
That's the idea. He's positing that the puppet isn't just receiving our attention. It's a central, unmoving point where our collective thoughts manifest. It's a powerful and audacious claim about the nature of inanimate objects under collective human gaze, suggesting they can become active participants in shaping our reality, rather than just passive recipients of our perceptions.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, he's saying it's essentially a funnel or maybe a lens for fan energy.
Yes, that seems to be the core idea.
He explicitly states it refracts the ecstatic, zealous adulation of a fanatical, monomaniacal fandom. He sees the puppet as acting as a filter for the collective amorphous zeitgeist. Distilling that swirling mass of shared belief, intense emotion, maybe even cognitive dissonance. It's as if the puppet itself becomes a living, breathing receptacle for all this psychic input, taking in all that passionate energy and transforming it.
You can see parallels here, can't you? Like how fans interact with pop culture figures or even fictional characters, investing them with so much emotional energy that they feel intensely real.
Totally. But he takes it further.
And then this is where it really gets disquieting and deeply self-referential. He suggests that with a disquieting inevitability, this filtered collective consciousness is perhaps reflected back upon the convoluted originating source, namely my own cerebrum.
His own brain.
His own brain. This raises an important and deeply unsettling question. Is he suggesting that the collective belief in the puppet, fueled by its fans, then directly shapes his own reality, his own thoughts, his very sense of self?
So the fans' belief changes him.
It implies a feedback loop that transcends the typical creator-audience dynamic, making him subject to the very forces he describes. If the puppet's reality is shaped by the fans, and that reality then influences his brain, it means his internal world is no longer entirely his own.
Wow.
It's a product of collective external projection. This is a profound blurring of lines.
But then, just when you think you have a handle on his theory maybe, he immediately offers a diametrically inverted corollary, like the opposite idea.
Of course he does.
He proposes that the devotees aren't merely a byproduct of the puppet's existence, but the very causans of the puppet's ontological weight, or conspicuous lack thereof.
Causans, the causing cause, the ultimate source.
Right, so he introduces this counterpoint, essentially asking, which came first, the puppet or the fervent belief in it? It's like he's arguing with himself on the page.
Deliberately introducing ambiguity.
Yeah, challenging the traditional notion of cause and effect. He's presenting a philosophical Ouroboros, the serpent eating its own tail, where creation and reception are inextricably intertwined.
This flips the causal relationship entirely, suggesting the puppet might be a tertiary parasitical manifestation.
Parasitical.
Yeah, a tangible physical effigy meticulously wrought from the concentrated psychokinetic energy of 1,000 devoted acolytes.
Psychokinetic energy. Like bending spoons with your mind, but making puppets.
Sort of. Or, with an equal plausibility, 1,000 disengaged, ennui-stricken listeners.
So even boredom energy works.
Yeah. Apparently. What does this say about the power of collective attention, whether positive or negative? It implies that the sheer force of human focus, the cumulative cognitive energy, regardless of its quality, whether it's fervent adoration or bored disinterest, can imbue an object with a form of existence, literally shaping it into a physical effigy.
Like internet memes or fictional characters gaining a life of their own.
Exactly, but he's taking that idea to a much more literal, almost magical level.
It certainly makes you think about all the things we pay attention to, doesn't it? The sheer weight of our collective gaze. This idea of a puppet as a metaphysical locus is further expanded in his supplemental thesis, the first. It's titled On the Etheric Interlocution of Marionetic Semblances and a Collective Fervor, a proto-hypothesis of panontological relationality.
Good grief, the titles alone.
I know. In this thesis, he argues that a hand puppet is more than a non-sentient effigy. It's a tabula rasa.
A blank slate.
Upon which the collective subconscious of its observers inscribes a temporary and highly mutable reality. So the puppet itself is just this empty vessel, a blank page onto which our minds, our collective dreams and anxieties, just draw whatever they want, creating a fluid, constantly changing reality for the puppet.
Precisely. The core inquiry here is indeed framed as that dialectical Ouroboros, constantly asking, does the puppet derive its meaning from the crowd, or does the crowd derive its meaning from the puppet?
Chicken or egg?
Exactly. It's a profound philosophical maze that doesn't offer easy answers, and arguably that's the point. It forces us to confront the active role of interpretation and projection in constructing meaning.
Our role.
Yes, the puppet is not fixed. Its reality is fluid, shaped entirely by interaction. You can see this reflected in how a beloved fictional character might be interpreted differently by different fan groups, or even change in the public consciousness over time.
Right, as new generations project their own stuff onto it.
The professor is suggesting this isn't just metaphorical, it's a tangible process of reality shaping.
And he then labels the puppet an etheric interlocutor, describing it as a conduit through which the otherwise inchoate desires and anxieties of a fan base are given form, if only for the fleeting duration of a single show.
Inchoate meaning formless.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not just about entertainment, it's about catharsis, a channel for the unexpressed collective subconscious. He's suggesting these puppets are acting as a kind of psychic lightning rod.
Grounding the chaotic energy.
Grounding the otherwise chaotic and formless energies of a fan base, giving them structure and an outlet.
This suggests that the fans aren't just passively consuming, they are, in a very real, though perhaps entirely imaginary way, co-creating the puppet's reality.
Entirely imaginary. Another classic Finchley-Smythe hedge.
Always leaves himself an out. But this is a crucial point. It forces us to consider the active, participatory role of an audience, particularly now, in the digital age where feedback loops are instantaneous and pervasive.
Like online fan communities.
Exactly. The act of observation is not neutral. It's formative. Imagine how a TV show's plot might be influenced by fan theories and online discussions.
Oh yeah, that happens all the time.
Or how a social movement gains power through the collective belief and focus of its participants. The professor takes this concept and applies it to what seems like a simple object, arguing that the collective will is so powerful it can imbue sentience, or something like it.
And this is where it gets personally interesting for us again, isn't it? When he discusses the role of the devotees and podcast hosts.
Here we go again.
He explains that the fans, whom he describes, maybe a bit dismissively, as a fervent and often uncritical demographic, are a vital component in this grand and possibly meaningless equation.
Possibly meaningless, naturally.
Naturally. Their adulation, he insists, is not a passive reception of content, but an active, if unwitting, act of creation. So our listeners, you listening right now, your attention, their attention, it's all creating something, feeding into this ontological engine.
He's saying that simply by engaging with his work, you are participating in its very existence.
And perhaps the existence of the things he describes, like the puppets or the fish.
Indeed. He postulates that their collective belief grants the puppet a form of quasi-sentience, a temporary existence that defies conventional biological and physical laws.
Quasi-sentience. Almost alive.
Almost. This collective fervency or fandom acts as a gravitational field pulling in and distorting the very fabric of reality around it.
That's a powerful metaphor. Collective thought-bending reality.
It is. It's where his theory begins to touch on the truly metaphysical, almost like a form of mass telekinesis, like you said. He's positing that belief isn't just a mental state. It's a force with tangible reality-shaping power.
It pushes us to question, if enough people believe something, does it become true? At least in some localized temporary sense.
That seems to be the implication. But then he drops the ultimate meta-commentary, the one that makes us really sit up and take notice. It is entirely plausible that the professor himself and his own pet kitten, Professor Scampers, are likewise subject to the same collective force.
Him and the cat, too.
Their own identities and perceived realities being molded by the very people who profess to admire them. He's putting himself and his cat squarely into the same ontological boat as the hand puppet.
So his reality isn't entirely his own.
He's suggesting that his very being, his perceived reality as Professor Finchley-Smythe III, is not entirely his own, but is actively constructed and sustained by the collective belief and focus of his followers, his readers, and yes, even his critics. Even us.
Yeah.
And crucially, he includes the most discerning and analytical of his admirers, the podcast hosts who dedicate their time to dissecting his work. Us again.
He really singles us out.
He does. This raises an important and rather self-referential question. If our attention, our very act of discussing and dissecting the professor's work shapes his reality, how does that change our role in this deep dive?
Are we just observers anymore?
Or are we, in a very real sense, participants in the creation of Professor Finchley-Smythe III's ongoing existence? This is a fascinating metatextual challenge that makes this deep dive not just an analysis, but potentially a performative act within his own theory.
It's like we're characters in his book.
It collapses the distance between the subject and the analyst. It suggests that our very act of discussing him is a component of his grand unified theory. How does one maintain objectivity when your subject claims your attention is literally shaping his reality?
It's exhilarating and unnerving all at once. It means we have to be conscious not only of what we say, but the very act of saying it.
Right.
It makes you wonder, are we simply reporting on his ideas, or are we unwittingly helping to manifest them?
A heavy thought.
Okay, shifting gears now. Let's talk about the fish. What I think is perhaps the strangest, yet maybe the most immediately applicable element of the professor's confounding nexus. The ichthyological anomaly.
Yes, the flabberfish.
The glabberfish. The professor states it's a genus of Carassius auratus.
Goldfish.
Common goldfish, right?
Yep.
Modified by some ineffable, though likely Tellurian environmental factor. So what he's essentially talking about here are mutant goldfish.
But not just any mutant goldfish.
No. He posits they've been transformed by some ineffable or indescribable force, though he suspects it's Tellurian, meaning earthly, originating from our own planet. Not aliens, probably.
Probably. Indeed. This peculiar flabberfish was, quite remarkably, discovered within the circumscribed and now inoperative containment tool of a decommissioned nuclear facility.
Oh, of course. Where else?
Where else? He describes them as a veritable Piscean progeny of serendipitous and possibly cataclysmic transmutations. This immediately paints a picture of, post-apocalyptic evolution.
Blinky the three-eyed fish, but more complex.
Way more complex, a very specific and dramatic origin story for these creatures, suggesting they are the unlikely offspring of chance and disaster. The image of mutant goldfish swimming in an abandoned nuclear pond is certainly vivid and deeply unsettling, yet strangely compelling.
And the explanation for their existence is just as, well, unique.
Understatement.
He says the prevailing theory, which is perhaps entirely fabricated,
Love that he admits that.
is a highly improbable cocktail of heavy water, trace elements, and lingering atmospheric particulates that caused a localized, hyper-accelerated evolutionary event of such staggering improbability that it defies probabilistic calculation.
So a nuclear accident, basically.
But one so ridiculously specific and unlikely, a perfect storm of environmental factors, that even he admits it might just be something he made up.
It's a remarkable admission, yet he presents it as the leading scientific hypothesis. It forces us to question the nature of scientific truth itself when even the proposer admits it could be pure fiction.
Definitely. And their appearance.
Oh, the appearance. Their most arresting and unsettling feature, which is visually quite striking, is a superfluity of ocular organs, ranging in number from an octet to a dodecahedral arrangement.
8 to 12 eyes.
8 to 12 eyes. These ocelli, as he designates them, are utterly non-functional in the traditional photoreceptive sense.
So they can't see with them.
Not in the way we understand sight. This is a biological redundancy that defies conventional evolutionary logic. Why evolve so many eyes if they serve no purpose for vision?
Seems inefficient.
It raises more questions than it answers about natural selection and adaptation.
But of course, the professor has a theory. He has a tantalizing, though entirely unsubstantiated, conjecture.
Naturally unsubstantiated.
That these non-functional eyes might be perceiving an entirely different, perhaps hyperdimensional spectrum of reality.
Hyperdimensional goldfish eyes.
So he's saying they're not seeing our reality, but perhaps the fourth dimension, or the ether, or some other realm beyond our current comprehension. Imagine a creature that exists in our world, but is constantly perceiving a layer of existence that we were blind to.
It's truly fascinating, even if it's utterly unprovable. And it opens up a vast space for philosophical speculation about the limits of human perception.
Are we the blind ones?
This raises that important question. Is this meticulous scientific observation wildly speculative fiction, or a profound commentary on our own limited human perception, suggesting that what we consider functional is merely a sliver of what's possible?
Knowing the professor.
Given the professor's style, it's likely all three, interwoven into a narrative that compels us to think beyond our usual empirical boundaries. He's asking us to consider that our understanding of reality is fundamentally constrained by our sensory organs and our prevailing scientific paradigms.
And that there might be entire realities existing alongside ours that we simply can't detect. But the true, ineffable marvel of the flabberfish isn't their eyes at all. It's their gaseous emanation.
He means farts, doesn't he?
He means fish farts. The byproduct of their peculiar digestion, which is, according to the professor, a biofuel with an unprecedented and seemingly impossible energy density.
Fish farts defying the laws of physics.
Imagine a renewable energy source that is not only clean but virtually limitless, derived from the most absurd yet naturally occurring process. It's a breathtaking leap from the profane to the profound.
This monumental discovery has led, with a certain Finchley-Smythe inevitability,
You knew it was coming.
to the creation of a small-scale power plant on my secluded property. He claims it harnesses this extraordinary gas to provide a clean and infinitely renewable energy source for my entire complex.
His entire complex powered by fish farts.
The sheer audacity of this claim, to move from a biological anomaly to a world-altering perpetual energy solution, all derived from mutant goldfish flatulence, is just astounding.
If it worked.
The practicality, in his mind, seems to justify the absurdity, presenting it as a solution to global energy crises born from the most unexpected biological quirk. If this were even remotely possible, it would rewrite our energy future.
And this complex. He describes it as a sprawling complex, a culmination of my life's esoteric work. A silent and subterranean testament to the power of a single, bizarre scientific discovery.
Subterranean. Underground.
That's the implication. He's clearly built himself a scientific fortress, perhaps even a kingdom, powered entirely by these strange fish. The image is grand and imposing, suggesting a hidden world of advanced, if unconventional, research.
You can almost picture the vast humming machinery deep underground, all quietly fueled by the flabberfish.
Baby and cool at the same time.
What's fascinating here is how the professor moves from a biological anomaly to a world-altering energy source, tying it directly to his own, rumored to be subterranean research complex.
Loomers again.
It's a progression that, while logically tenuous to say the least, is incredibly compelling in its narrative. It suggests that his personal intellectual endeavors are physically manifested and sustained by the very phenomena he studies.
The fish aren't just a subject.
They are the literal engine of his intellectual pursuits, allowing him to pursue his esoteric studies unencumbered by mundane concerns like electricity bills. It's a self-sustaining ecosystem of genius or madness.
It's a closed loop of self-sustaining genius. Or madness. Take your pick, because the professor certainly gives you that option.
Always a choice.
Now, let's step outside the professor's mind for a moment and look at some external commentary on his latest work. We have some incredibly insightful and equally amused perspectives.
What are others saying?
Starting with Dr. Penelope Heather Featherington Quackers from the Journal of Esoteric Ontological Studies.
Featherington Quackers, really?
That's the name. She doesn't pull any punches, calling his book an intellectual edifice of such baffling proportions that it suggests not a coherent argument, but an existential experience.
Wow. High praise, in a way.
Yeah, implying that simply reading it forces you to confront fundamental questions about existence and reality, not just understand an argument.
Indeed. Dr. Featherington Quackers goes on to praise his sheer density of his prose, the glorious opulence of his vocabulary, noting that it is all there, a testament to his singular genius.
She acknowledges his style.
Right, she's acknowledging his command of language, even if it borders on the impenetrable. But she quickly zeroes in on what she sees as the true core, stating that the flabberfish's gaseous output, while presented as a side note, is truly the fulcrum of his genius.
The fish farts again.
A breathtaking example of finding profundity in the profane. It's a fascinating twist that an academic would see the fish farts as a centerpiece of his brilliance.
Arguing his ability to extract that world-altering concept from something so base is his greatest feat.
Exactly. She also mentions a persistent rumor that his entire research complex extends for miles beneath the earth, a subterranean kingdom of esoteric knowledge.
See, the subterranean complex rumor's out there.
It's clear the fish and the rumors of his sprawling underground lair have captured the academic imagination. They've become almost a legendary component of his persona.
And then there's Winston Peabody Mellonhead IV, CEO of Ontological Cartographer.
Another great name.
He clearly gets the professor's unique style. He says the new book is a veritable banquet of the bizarre.
He enjoys the weirdness.
Totally. He absolutely loves Finchley-Smythe's ability to connect the profound with the absurd, from puppets to the very hosts who speak of him, is nothing short of mesmerizing.
He clocked the part about us, too.
He did. It's clear Peabody Mellonhead recognizes the meta-commentary, and the fact that we, as the hosts of this very deep dive, are part of the equation is not lost on him. He sees us, he knows about us, and he thinks it's genius.
Peabody Mellonhead notes that, while others might be daunted by the lack of a discernible point, we find it a magnificent challenge. This highlights a shared appreciation for the professor's intellectual provocations.
Embracing the ambiguity.
Right, rather than shying away from it. He finds a particular elegance to his discussion of the flabberfish. The idea that a mutant goldfish could power a sprawling, rumored-to-be subterranean complex is a breathtakingly illogical masterstroke that makes for absolutely compelling listening.
Illogical masterstroke. I like that.
It seems the sheer audacity and inventive absurdity of the flabberfish concept resonates even with those in media and publishing, perhaps precisely because it defies conventional logic and common sense.
It's the kind of outlandish narrative that captures the imagination and spreads like wildfire.
Definitely gets people talking.
Now, for the fans, this is where it gets really fun, and where the professor's theories about fandom really come home in a powerful way.
What do the acolytes say?
We have a post from Acolyte of Alistair from the Fanatical Fans Forum of Professor Finchley Smythe III. They posted with the title, "He sees us, he's talking about us."
Oh, wow. Direct hit.
They clearly feel like they are part of the experiment, which is exactly what the professor posited. It's an incredibly intimate and validating experience for a fan, isn't it? To feel directly acknowledged by their idol.
Absolutely. This fan perspective is vital because it directly affirms the professor's thesis about the reciprocal relationship between creator and audience. They explicitly see the puppet thing as a physical manifestation of our collective energy.
They're quoting him back.
Which is a direct echo of his idea that the puppet is wrought from psychokinetic energy. They're not just understanding the theory, they're feeling it, experiencing it as a truth in their own engagement.
That's powerful.
And they, too, have heard about the fish farts to power his lab, which is probably a mega complex that stretches for miles underground. The rumors are clearly widespread and embraced.
Becoming part of the shared mythology.
Exactly, proving how readily a dedicated fandom will absorb and propagate even the most outlandish details.
They call him a legend, a god amongst mortals. High praise.
Very high.
And what's truly mind-bending is how they perceive this very deep dive we are doing right now.
Oh, what do they think of us?
They see it as a beautiful feedback loop of pure genius because, as they put it, he's making a podcast with the very people who talk about him.
So we're part of his genius plan now.
According to the fans, yes. It's a meta-commentary on a meta-commentary, and we are right in the middle of it. The fans see our analysis as a deliberate, orchestrated part of his master plan, completing the loop. It's as if our conversation about him retroactively legitimizes his claims about us.
Wow. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this fervent fan commentary powerfully reinforces the professor's thesis about how fandom can grant a form of quasi-sentience and shape perceived reality.
Not just for the puppet,
but even for the professor himself. Their belief in his genius, their active engagement with his ideas, their very active discussing and propagating his theories, arguably creates and sustains the very reality of Professor Alistair Finchley Smythe III as an academic phenomenon.
So we are all entangled in this nexus.
Just as he claims. The listener's attention is not passive. It's an active, contributing force in the professor's intellectual universe. It suggests that even the most rigorous analysis, like our deep dive, becomes a creative act within his framework.
Further solidifying his existence and theories.
Precisely.
It's almost as if he's writing us into existence, one deep dive at a time. And frankly, it's a bit humbling to realize that our own curiosity is a force multiplier in his bizarre reality.
It is a strange position to be in.
Okay, we've mentioned Professor Scampers throughout this deep dive.
Yeah.
The professor's enigmatic pet kitten.
Oh, Scampers.
And how the professor posits Scampers' metaphysical presence is intrinsically linked to the puppet fandom dynamic. He's been lurking in the background of this whole confounding nexus, a key, if silent, player.
It's a classic mad scientist trope, isn't it? To have a beloved, yet slightly unnerving pet always nearby, seemingly privy to all the secrets.
Totally. The cat always knows.
Indeed. Even in Chapter 1, when musing about the puppet's ontological status, the professor pauses to pose a truly profound, almost self-aware question. If the puppet is, in fact, a genuine self-evident reality, then who, or precisely what, is Professor Scampers?
He's questioning his own cat's reality.
And is he not, in his enigmatic feline inscrutability, perhaps the most veritably real of all of us? He's suggesting the kitten, in its simple, undeniable existence, might be the ultimate anchor to reality.
Or the ultimate mystery.
Or perhaps the ultimate mystery, even more so than the puppet or his own theories. It's a moment of surprising humility, almost a recognition that while he theorizes about abstract concepts, there's a simple, undeniable truth in the living, breathing, unknowable presence of his cat.
Which makes what happens next even weirder.
Oh, yes.
Because just when you thought this couldn't get any stranger, the professor drops a bombshell in a personal addendum to his slabberfish thesis.
An addendum. What did he add?
He reveals something truly bizarre, almost a throwaway line in the midst of his technical discussions. My pet kitten, Professor Scampers, managed to surreptitiously consume one of the flabberfish.
No, he ate one.
He ate one. Think about that for a second. Not just any fish, but the energy-dense, multi-eyed mutant goldfish, the very source of his sprawling complex's power, an accidental yet potentially catastrophic consumption.
What happened to Scampers?
Well, since that time, the professor observes, with detached scientific air, the kitten exhibiting some rather bizarre and profoundly unsettling behaviors.
Like what?
Such as peculiar blimp-like hovering around my laboratory, defying the very tenets of conventional gravity.
Hovering. Blimp-like hovering.
That's what he says. This isn't just a slight levitation. He describes it as blimp-like hovering, suggesting a sustained, perhaps even buoyant, defiance of physics.
His cat floats now.
It's an extraordinary claim for a cat, implying a direct transfer of the flabberfish's impossible energy density into Scampers, transforming him into something truly unique and perhaps truly dangerous.
One can only imagine the logistical challenges of having a floating feline in a research lab, knocking over beakers.
Exactly. Wait, his kitten is floating now. This is incredible. He's had a cat for a theory, and now he has a flying cat.
Well, hovering cat.
Hovering cat. The implications for both ichthyological studies and feline physics are revolutionary, or perhaps utterly absurd. It means the flabberfish's unique energy isn't just for power plants. It can literally defy gravity and organic beings.
It's a game changer for his grand unified theory, isn't it? Showing how truly disparate elements, a fish, a cat, and abstract energy can profoundly interact.
But is it real?
Though in a rare moment of uncharacteristic lucidity, the professor admits, with a classic Finchley-Smythe twist,
Here comes the out.
that it is quite plausible that my current state of utter exhaustion has led to a bout of vivid, though entirely unfounded hallucinations, a recurring and inconvenient symptom of overwork.
So maybe he just imagined the hovering cat?
So he presents us with this astonishing observation, only to immediately undercut it with a self-diagnosis of extreme fatigue and potential delusion. It leaves the reader, and us, in a state of deliberate ambiguity.
Is the floating kitten real? Is it a product of his overtaxed mind? Or is this admission itself part of a larger performance, designed to keep us off balance?
He masterfully creates a scenario where we can't fully trust his narrative, yet we are compelled to believe in its possibility. It's maddening.
So what does this all mean for us, the discerning listeners of the Deep Dive? Is the floating kitten a verifiable reality, a desperate hallucination of an overworked genius, or the ultimate crowning proof of the flabberfish's inexplicable power and the professor's own intertwining with the absurd?
It's the ultimate unsolved mystery within his already perplexing work.
Embodying the core ambiguity of his entire grand theory, it forces us to confront our own biases and what we are willing to believe.
This anecdote, whether a literal truth or a masterful piece of metaphorical storytelling, brilliantly encapsulates the professor's entire grand unified theory. It brings together the entanglement of seemingly disparate entities,
Fish, cat, energy.
a biological anomaly like the flabberfish, unconventional energy, and a beloved pet, with the blurred lines between objective observation and subjective projection.
And it underscores the profound implications of unexpected energy, not just for his complex, but potentially for life itself.
It leaves us pondering the very nature of what we consider real and how easily it can be reshaped by the confluence of bizarre circumstances and the human mind, and how a truly compelling narrative can become its own form of truth, regardless of its empirical basis.
What a ride, huh? Truly a journey into the nexus of the confounding.
Absolutely exhausting,
Right.
but fascinating.
So we've journeyed through the perplexing world of Professor Alistair Finchley-Smythe III. We've explored the ontological reality of hand puppets and the collective consciousness of fanatical followings, navigated the bizarre world of multi-eyed, gas-producing flabberfish powering a subterranean complex,
Don't forget the subterranean part.
and wrestled with the mind-bending image of a potentially floating kitten. It's been a lot to process. A true intellectual feast that defies simple categorization.
His work really does defy easy categorization. It challenges us to consider the fluid nature of reality, the profound power of collective belief, and the potential for the absurd to contain truly profound truth.
Finding truth in the absurd.
It forces us to question not just what we know, but how we know it, and to consider the role our own attention plays in shaping the phenomena we observe.
Like us talking about him right now.
Exactly. By blurring the lines between fiction and reality, between observer and observed, he compels us to engage with the world in a more critically aware, yet perhaps more open-minded way.
It certainly does. So as you reflect on this deep dive, on the professor's sprawling theories and his acknowledgement of our very presence,
Our strange role in all this.
consider this. If Professor Finchley Smythe posits that our collective attention, our shared belief and discussion, can shape the reality of puppets, his pet kitten, and even himself, what then does your focused attention, your deep dive into his work, say about your own capacity to shape the world around you?
That's a heavy thought to leave people with, or perhaps another way to look at it is the professor himself the ultimate puppet, meticulously crafted by the expectations and interpretations of his discerning audience, including us.
Are we pulling his strings just by listening?
What stands out to you from this confounding nexus, and what reality are you inadvertently helping to construct just by tuning in?